Eagles cornerback Darius Slay announced on Twitter that he's ready to run it back and will be signing an extension with the Birds. And the Eagles got another big-name free agent to re-sign for a team-friendly deal. Plus, one of the Philly favorites is headed to Carolina. But first, let's run it. Josh Davis here, and a happy Thursday, I guess, getting this up here extremely late or early, however you want to look at it, but we had to because the late breaking news on Twitter, Darius Slay will be back. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I got to give a huge shout out to all of you guys that have subscribed so far. Really appreciate the support. We surpassed 1,000 subscribers. It's phenomenal. I really, really appreciate it, but speaking of phenomenal, Darius Slay will be back and is an Eagle. So you guys may have already seen it, but if not, take a look. On Twitter, he announced, "Back like I never left, run it back," with the Eagle emoji. There it is. Big play Slay is back. And this is huge. Massive ramifications by the fact that this was a captain. This will be a captain on your team. We've already had massive vocal leaders return that are coming back, Jason Kelsey and Brandon Graham and others that we're going to get into. But this team is being solidified. And if I had asked you a week ago, would Darius Slay be back along with these others, you probably would have been like, no, there's no chance. I would have said that. I was saying that. So I was dead wrong, and I'm sure many other people were dead wrong. But the fact that Slay is now back after, if you remember, several hours ago or yesterday, depending on when you're watching this, he said he's going to leave. The rumors, the reports were that the Eagles were going to release him or cut Darius Slay. And so then it was like, well, maybe he's going to Baltimore. He's getting tweets from maybe Marlon Humphrey, or he's going to reunite with Denard Wilson. Lots of questions. We didn't know what was going to happen. But now officially Darius Slay is an Eagle, and thumbs up for that. Give it a like, because this is incredibly exciting where this team is going, where it's headed, and you keep hearing it and seeing it. Run it back. These guys know that there is a big chance and a big potential to be in the Super Bowl again next year. And so I love to see it. You keep the camaraderie, and you have the best combination of corners now in the NFC for sure, possibly in the league, but it's really, really great to see Slay return. There is the question, I know you may be asking, was this a good deal? At the time of this recording, we don't have any official details of what the contract's going to look like, and yes, there's questions of, hey, Slay played great in the beginning of last season, but he did start to dip. So if you take a look at the tweet here from Brandon Lee Gouton from Pro Football Focus, it says week 1 through week 6, he was targeted 32 times, 14 catches allowed for 168 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, and a 31.8 passer rating. But week 7 through the Super Bowl, targeted 51 times, 33 catches allowed for 391 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions on 114.1 passer rating. Started hot, finished cold. That's nothing new to us, and we do know that there was a little bit of a decline, a little bit of a dip. Whatever you want to say about it, he was not at the same level for the first half of the season. But I don't think that's cause for concern to just say, hey, he's going to play terrible or he's going to be having a lot of issues. Now, again, you could make the argument he's 32 years old, and a lot of cornerbacks, namely if you think about recent ones, Richard Sherman, Darrelle Revis, don't usually play well beyond this point. You start seeing a little bit of a dip. But where I think it's very important is you're signing Slay, a vocal leader. Lots of guys have spoken up about what he's meant to them in their career, how he's mentored them. CJ Gardner said that on Twitter yesterday. So I think it's a huge sign, and it's a huge relief to have him coming back to this team, especially because most likely the Eagles are still going to be eyeing defensive talent, maybe even the cornerback position. I know they've got James Bradberry now locked up. You've got Darius Slay. We'll see about CJ Gardner-Johnson, but this is fantastic news. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is this not so great news? Are you disappointed? What about the money? I know it does have questions of what are the Eagles going to do with CJ Gardner-Johnson, and we'll just have to see. One of the things you guys may have seen yesterday, but there were reports early in the day by John Clark here, you see, of NBC, but he says, I'm told the Eagles are making a big push in trying to re-sign safety CJ Gardner-Johnson. Now, as of right now, we don't know anything else, and it does seem to suggest that maybe there's not a likelihood that they're going to re-sign him, because now I'm starting to ask, where's the money coming from? I mean, that was the question beforehand. Oh, the Eagles don't have all this money. There's no way they're going to be able to re-sign anybody, but now they're re-signing just about every single person. So it's curious. We'll have to see how this plays out. But another factor that plays into it is also a big name free agent and a returnee, I guess, or however you want to look at it, is going to be back in Philly, and it's Fletcher Cox. So take a look at the article here by Brandon Lee Gouton on Bleeding Green Nation, but he says Fletcher Cox and the Eagles reportedly agreed to a 1-year contract. So in the article here, it says, quote, the Philadelphia Eagles are re-signing longtime starting defensive tackle Fletcher Cox to a 1-year contract worth $10 million, according to a report from NFL insider Adam Schefter. Schefter says Cox took a hometown discount to remain in Philly. Mike Garafolo reports the New York Jets, Joe Douglas connection, were willing to go higher, but Cox turned them down. At $10 million, Cox ranks tied for 23rd in terms of interior defender annual contract value. On one hand, Cox production rebounded in 2022. He logged 7 sacks after only posting 3.5 in 2021. He had the same amount of tackles for loss, but he did increase his quarterback hits by 2 from 12 to 14. On the other hand, can you name a memorable impact play made by Cox last year off the top of your head? If so, how about another? Cox finished the season ranked 71st out of 142 interior defenders graded by Pro Football Focus. His return was neither desired as evidenced by 16% stay vote in BGN's stay or go poll, nor was it expected. The Eagles certainly did have a hole at defensive tackle to fill with Javon Hargrave leaving. The only players under contract at the position were Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Marlon Tuipulotu, and Marvin Williams. The article goes on to mention just paying him out at that age, the $10 million, where that ranks. So yeah, the question, and whenever I first saw this, was I don't think it's an incredible deal, but I love to see that Fletcher Cox is willing to take a team-friendly deal. And again, I think this speaks to the culture, the camaraderie, the Philly vibes, and playing with Jalen. Everybody is wanting to be on this team. They see that everybody's ready to run it back, and the NFC is a little bit down. For those that may not want to agree with that, the NFC is the weaker conference between the two. And so they see now is the time to rejoin, get another chance at winning a Super Bowl. So yes, Fletcher Cox took a little bit less money, but I would rank this maybe, and they've got a poll on Bleeding Green Nation that you can take, but I would probably say it's like a B, maybe, just in terms of the grade. It's not a fantastic deal, but maybe the more alarming to me, and I know I just mentioned C.J. Gardner-Johnson, is if you're paying $10 million to Fletcher Cox, then where is the money coming from? But could this have been allocated for CJGJ? We'll have to see. I'm hoping that Howie has another trick up his sleeve and there's somehow another way, money under a mattress, that he's found that it can still work and C.J. Gardner-Johnson will also be back, but it's starting to make me question if that's possible. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Was this a good signing to have Fletcher Cox return, and is there still a chance to get CJ back? So let me know in the comments below. Also wanted to mention, you may have seen, but there is officially one other Eagle that is leaving. Not a huge surprise after signing Rashad Penny, but you see here in the tweet from Howard Eskin, says, wish the best for former Eagles running back Miles Sanders, but the numbers blow me away. Miles Sanders reportedly reaches a 4-year, $25 million contract with the Panthers per ESPN. How much is guaranteed is also a question. Now, I think the reports actually were it's about $12 million, if I remember correctly, for what's guaranteed. So it's a good deal, but it actually is a little bit surprising of lower than I thought. Saquon Barkley is at $10 million per year. I know they're probably going to the Giants are probably going to try to renegotiate, figure something out there, but I figured that Miles Sanders would get about $8 million or so per year. So it's a little bit less than what I was anticipating, but it's a decent deal. It reunites him, or I guess has him join Frank Reich and reunites him with Deuce Staley. So I could see the great fit there, but you were never going to keep him. At this point, whenever Rashad Penny, like I mentioned, we signed him. You've got Boston Scott that we re-signed, and Kenny G. It was a done deal. So we could see the writing was on the wall, and we wish him the best. You may have noticed too, but Miles Sanders has posted on his Instagram saying, since I was 7 years old, all I wanted to do was play in the NFL. Philly made my dreams come true. Thank you for the unforgettable experience. Not looking forward to being a visitor at the link, but can't wait to see y'all again. Thumbs up for Miles. We wish him the best. He played fantastic while he was here. He might have been underutilized at times, but I still think that this offense, especially even in the running game, could be even more potent next year. That'll remains to be seen about Rashad Penny and his health and if he can stay healthy there. I know he's injury prone, but I think behind the offensive line, with the additions, with Rashad Penny being able to run very powerful, very aggressive, Jalen obviously as incredible as he is, and you obviously still have the same offensive talent, I think it could be even better. Really excited about this team, and especially, like I mentioned, the free agency, where we're at currently. So update as of right now, where things stand. Dave Zangaro has been providing great posts and updates on this, so take a look. Eagles free agency, signing with the Eagles so far, Rashad Penny, staying, Jason Kelsey, Brandon Graham, Boston Scott, James Bradberry, Fletcher Cox, leaving, TJ Edwards, Javon Hargrave, Andre Dillard, Marcus Epps, Kazir White, and Miles Sanders now to the Panthers. And then I love what he has here at the very bottom again, never left Darius Slay. If I had asked you a week ago, this is what the Eagles are going to do, you wouldn't believe me. There's no way you'd believe me. Okay, sure, you're saying you would, but you wouldn't. You wouldn't believe me on that. The fact that these are the guys that are returning, have been re-signed, and who Howie's been able to get, I've got to give him an A. I've got to give him maybe even an A+ so far for what he's done in free agency. Yes, I absolutely am holding out hope. So maybe that last bit to get him to an A+ is CJ Gardner Johnson. But the fact that the players that we have now returning are coming back, and you still have the draft picks that you do. Remember, 2 first-round draft picks in this year's draft, and he's got compensatory picks for next year. He's got a 3rd round and 3 6th rounds as it stands today. So thumbs up for that. Howie's doing a fantastic job, but that's not really a surprise, right? I mean, we kind of knew this. So it'll be really exciting to see. I hope that we do get some news very soon on CJ Gardner Johnson. We'll be sure to keep you posted on that. If there's any news breaking, any updates there, but be sure to like and subscribe as always. Until next time, I'm Josh Davis, and this has been the Philly Special.